You want to see Fraser?
If he's available.
I'm afraid he isn't. I'm his employer. I'm Lord Walsingham. Is there something I can help you with?
I wouldn't have troubled you with this, my lord.
Tell me what you want, and I'll tell you if it's any trouble.
Well, I'm inquiring into the death of Christopher Marlowe.
As a matter of fact, I knew Christopher well. I like to think I was his mentor, if that doesn't sound too...
What?
Pretentious. I can't abide pretensions. In fact, the last time I saw Christopher, we stood here, together in this bower. He wanted to read me a poem he was working on, waved a piece of paper at me. Knew I'd be captivated.
And were you?
What?
Captivated?
Oh, God. Read it to me, Christopher, I said. He knew. I mean, what I felt for him, in what high regard I held him. Amorous Leander, beautiful and young, whose tragedy divine Musaeus sung. He read it all to me. His dangling tresses that were never shorn, had they been cut, and unto Colchis born, would have allured the venturous youth of Greece to hazard more than for the golden fleece. He didn't finish it. You like poetry?
No, not very much. What was he doing here?
I think I said we were friends. He often came to see me. I offered him shelter.
From what?
His life was chaotic.
Really?
Which he largely brought on himself.
What kind of man was he?
Complex. Interesting. I hate to be bored. He needed, above all, I believe, to feel safe.
From?
The storms of life that beat around his head.
What kind of storms, exactly?
Political, theatrical, personal.
Romantic?
Possibly.
Do you know who he worked for? I mean, when he wasn't writing his plays?
Me.
In what capacity?
General.
Oh, what does that mean?
He acted as my eyes and ears.
Ah, he gathered information for you.
You make it sound so cold.
He had charm?
Yes. For those... I believe for those sensitive enough to appreciate him.
And not everybody did.
A man like Christopher is bound to provoke jealousy.
Who was jealous?
There are those who would have liked to have taken him away from me. Who couldn't really ever appreciate the friendship we had.
What state of mind was he in when he left here?
I would say buoyant.
And he left because...
A messenger came. The Privy Council wanted to interview him.
He wasn't worried about that?
No. He laughed. He rode off that morning laughing. Do you believe that?
10 days later, he was dead. Is Ingram Fraser also one of your information gatherers?
You wonder why I would allow the man accused of his murder in my house?
It crossed my mind.
We live in a world where creatures such as Fraser have their uses. I don't know what happened in that room. Perhaps we never will know.
Oh, I will know.
If you find out, tell me. I'll reward you.
I've got my own reason for doing this, Lord Walsingham. And it isn't money.
I think I've answered all your questions.
Lord Walsingham.
You're wasting your time.
I've got time.
You're a strange man. I thought at first we might have been friends.
We're talking about another friend of yours, Marlowe.
He was my friend, yes.
Who was he working for?
Me.
Anybody else?
People claimed him. Even now, no doubt.
He was a tart. He worked for the highest bidder.
You're very cruel.
It's the way they are. They're faithless.
Not Christopher.
You want loyalty, keep a dog. Face it, he'd been offered a plum. Cecil had asked him to go to Scotland.
Cecil! That deformed animal.
And he'd accepted. You didn't like it.
This is your fantasy, I'm afraid.
Polly was working for you. You set the meeting up. The message Polly brought was, don't go to Scotland, be faithful to me. But this dog was not going to come back. He'd found a new master.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Did he laugh at you, Thomas? Did he? What did he say? Tell him I'm finished with him. Finished.
That isn't true.
Polly delivers the message, and you send him back with an order. 1 hour later, Marlowe is dead.
You think I would harm him? I loved him. But I'm also a realist. I knew I could never keep Christopher. I knew he was leaving me. He loved the game too much. He loved slumming, apparently, to be in the company of the likes of Fraser, Scares, God knows why. You know something? I think he hated us. The people he worked for hated us, but at the same time, he wanted to be one of us, to be accepted. Like all rebels, he longed to be accepted. He knew he never would be, so he was torn. He hated himself for still wanting it. It's what made him so fascinating. I said to him, "Christopher, stay here." He looked at me. The look I'd seen before, his eyes glassed over as though I wasn't even there. There was no way back. He made a world of mirrors for himself, each one showing him a reflection which he loathed. Do you think I would kill him? I would give everything I own if I could just see him once more. If anybody wanted him dead, it was those animals he kept company with. Ask them. They had reason to be jealous, and he taunted them. Ask them.